Okay, so you remember the Dragon Punch machine that we were doing in Dallas? Okay, so we found one in fucking Longview. And
my girlfriend finally tracked that down on your page too. I was like, check it out.
Fucking so we find this thing, and me and Jason dump like $15 into this thing that night because it's just us two, and we started kicking it, trying to do like these fucking Muay Thai kickboxing kicks, dude. And I missed and slammed the side of this machine and like limped around for all of Sunday. My top of my foot was all black and blue for like 2 days. I thought I broke my foot.
Legit.
I was like, fuck, man. That's what happens.
Where was that?
When I drink.
Was at the last convention you're at?
Yeah, that was at the last one that we were just at.
That's awesome.
Dude, next week or next month, I'm going to be recording a podcast from probably a new location every week.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good one, but it's rough, man. It's fucking, I don't know. It's going to be good. It's going to be good, though. I can't complain. People want to travel all the time, and I do it all the fucking time.
Exactly right. So where will you be next week?
So the next ones that I do, so at the first of the month, at Labor Day weekend over here, I'll be in San Antonio. Then the week after that, I'll be in Lubbock, Texas. And then the weekend after that, I'll be back here in El Paso, and then Houston, and then Denver. So each one of those weeks, it's a different fucking location.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the Denver thing because I want to be I just like it up there. It's fucking nice.
It's
so
good.
Nice.
I got nothing until the Sydney Rites of Passage, which where's that?
Don't you guys just had a convention coming up, or is there one?
It's Perth Expo.
Perth, that's right.
I've done that one quite a few times, so I won't be heading over this time. I'm waiting for the Sydney one to go do it with the Metrics booth. I'm just pretty much going to do like sponsor ones at the moment. I've done enough shameless self-promoting at expos lately, so I'll use my name for them lately.
Yeah, that's how all the Texas shows go. The Texas Ink Magazine guys take care of us, and that's always nice. I'm going to do the Denver show just because I want to go up to Denver.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we use these just to go to fucking red places. Like
that's all I want to do. So we can do a little bit of social media talk, but do you want to wait to record until after?
No, bro, we're already doing it. Let's get this rolling.
Fuck it.
So before we go into the social media stuff, let's go back into who you were talking about before when we first came in, because pretty much when I first pressed record, we were talking about Jason. So,
okay, yeah. So my buddy Jason Elliott, he's just a super rad dude, but he just rocked out the LA tattoo convention. His first time in California for tattooing, and won Best of Day Saturday and Best of Show. And I'm just going to screen share this.
Oh, good. And I got to personally meet Jason at that last Dallas Expo, and I got to judge his work for, I think it was Tattoo of the Day and Artist of the Expo, and he got Artist of the Expo, correct? Or did he get the day one?
No, he won two Best of Days.
Two Best of
Days and like 3 other awards, and then that kid Eric Hogan Tattoo Ninja won Best of Show with the 2 portraits on the back of the leg.
Yeah, they were sick. I mean, people go like, "Oh, you're about to put up Jason's work anyway," but it's the technicality of different styles that amazed me in his work. They're like color, geometric stuff, and then like textures and like smooth as fuck, like opaque stuff with portraits, and absolutely versatile as fuck. That man.
Yeah, very much so, man. It's actually very, very humbling to watch him work and how quick he works. Especially since he has a really, really good ability to kind of grasp concepts that are really difficult for most people very quickly, but he's not a dick about it.
No, exactly.
It's one thing to try and do great tattoos. It's a whole nother thing to be cool about it if you are awesome.
Exactly right.
Because like at the end of the day, like
being humble is definitely not a dick move, is it?
Fuck no. Like that's the best thing. Like just be humble, be a smart ass every once in a while, but be humble for the most part. And he's really willing to share his knowledge because he's picked it up so quickly.
Yep.
So, and he's just all around solid dude. He's just a good dude. Let's see if we can't get this thing locked up on my screen sharing abilities here.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm getting your screen share, but I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah, it's still connecting or something like that.
Loading.
It says it's unable. I'm gonna stop this share and do a new one.
For all you audio listeners, just go check out at Jason Tattooer on Instagram, and I'm sure he's on the Facebooks and all the rest of it.
Yeah, Jason Elliott.
That's
on FaceSpace.
FaceSpace.
Fucking on the social medias.
The topic, I guess, of this show. It was a pretty up in the air topic. I've basically been lazy with my social media all week, so it's been on my brain. So I thought that was probably a good place to start.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we all get lazy every now and then. I mean, it's not life in general, but it helps our life cruise along and lets us. I think it's a tool that helps us like get to where we want a little bit quicker than back in the day when we had magazines and word of mouth and things like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's an important part that like you can't ignore anymore. You can't be somebody who's like, I mean, I guess you can. Some of the greatest tattooers are not on Instagram and social media at all, but we're talking about legends in the game and stuff like that. You know, these are people who mostly only tattooers know who they are anyways. Philip Liu and stuff like that. Philip, doesn't need social media.
No, exactly.
Well, I don't know. I think we may just not have the goods for the screen share. I'll try it again here in a little while and see if we can't get them up. But anyways, you want to go out. The piece that he did was another. I mean, it's Jason's one of those guys who found his voice really quickly, and he's got that whole geometric style. And he did another one of these lady faces with some crazy geometric stuff. And just this thing about his tattoos is they're fucking clean as a bar of soap. They are so technically perfect that it's hard to look at other tattoos when you judge his tattoos, because I've had to judge his tattoos and I have to be extra hard on him because I'm his friend.
Mm-hmm. How long have you guys known each other?
Like 2.5 years, man. Friends, became fast friends. It was really interesting. We did the first show we did was a Fort Worth convention, and it's the only time I've ever beat Jason at a competition, and he brings it up every time we see each other. I don't even remember it, but he's just like, hey, just remember you beat me. You beat that dead. I was like, yeah, dude. But I did a 3-day tattoo, and he did like a 5-hour fucking Deadpool portrait, and the Deadpool portrait was super dope still. But yeah, he's just a solid dude, and I mean, it's interesting to see a guy grow the way he does. I mean, I remember listening to his story when he was talking about getting first started into tattooing, and he started drawing a rose, and he's like, I drew roses, 500 different roses, and after I was done drawing, I knew how to draw a rose after that. And so as soon as I learned how to teach myself, he's like, I started doing that with everything. And he's just tenacious. He's good with the social media too. I mean, that's the cool thing about social media, is being able to reach so many people so easily. And having platforms like Instagram, which are, it's 100% visual, and it's just free fucking advertising.
Yep. It's almost a game too. It's like trying to crack how to get people to be interested in your stuff. But by doing that, you have to give them interesting stuff, right? So it's a keeping up like constant feed of, well, I think of good work. That is the way to really get it.
Right. Yeah, I think being consistent and putting out, quality work. I think that there are some people who have more of a natural ability to use social media to its fullest, just because they understand the platform a little bit better. There's a girl here in
it can become
Texas.
An extension of just like of human life, right? And if you're better at some of those things in life, then you're generally going to be better at social media anyway.
Yeah, I think if you don't, like, I come from like a punk rock background where I was like, I don't want to fucking pander to anybody. So like, that's where I'm like, I'm just going to disseminate information. I don't fucking care what you guys have to say. And, there's a downside to that, because I have friends like, Jay Jaree, who has a very powerful social media presence, and she uses it to her advantage because, she knows how to handle, updating your story on the regular, having, all of these things put in place. Fuck it, even using the right hashtags. There's so many different things. I just,
No, I mean, some people get into the science of, what time of day you got to post, and some people get apps to like tell them that sort of shit. I don't delve that deep. I think you just got to be like sensible. When's your clientele finishing work? When's your target audience like looking at their phone is basically when I start thinking.
And that's what most of those things even talk about. They talk about specifically, okay, well, the best day to post is Wednesday at 5 p.m. your time, because that's when everybody's getting ready to get out of work or getting ready to get on the commute. And so they're looking at their phone, and then it's 2:00 during the weekend because everybody's getting out of the bar. But that's just kind of common sense stuff. I think more importantly is actually learning what social media is really about and how to use it properly if you're going to use it for business is one of the things that a lot of people haven't keyed in on. And I sat with a guy who works with large dealerships and uses Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising for a business, and he kind of broke this down. And there's certain things that you can do with Facebook where you can select a specific address and drop a pin in that area, set a perimeter of 1 mile or 2 miles, and all the people who walk through that area who are scrolling through their phones, if they're on your demographic of liking tattoos, art, and all of these things, and within the age range, it'll come up in their scroll as a sponsored scroll. And so, like, for instance, what I'm going to do right before I go to Denver is I'm going to drop a pin on the convention that's happening at the beginning of the month that I won't be at. And I'm going to run advertisements for myself during that convention at that location. So the entire time people are there, they'll be scrolling through their phones, and my shit will come up and it'll say that I'm going to be there at the end of the month.
I mean, it's all stuff that we've been like biting at the bit to like do with this to get the podcast out there. But I figured we needed some actual content before we do that. But it's definitely something I'm going to be looking into is all the, I mean, they annoy the fuck out of most people, these sponsored ads, but you're never going to get rid of them. So I'd prefer to put one out there that someone's actually going to, want to click on something like that. Because I've had a few now that, you can't escape it, and they're like trying to tailor ads for people, but you really can get something out there you need quite easily these days without going through the old school bullshit of finding PR companies and advertising companies and paying for all this shit, like David was saying. And this is free. And this is the sole reason that I started using it. I was exactly the same as you when it was back on MySpace, and that I wasn't a big fan of it. Facebook, I was like, I used it just because I was living overseas. And then I started tattooing, and it seemed like this platform where I could put up my progress and people could follow, and I could like entice more people.
What the hell's going on? Why did that just happen?
It's finally caught up.
Did it really?
I don't know. But yeah. And then Instagram came out, and I was already kind of past Facebook with that stage. So Instagram seemed like a better platform to show just visual media, and I don't have to read about people's bullshit daily life crap and whatever. If I want to go on Twitter or something, if I want to read just simple little bullshit.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing about social media is you can pick your platform too. You can pick what I mean. I know tattooers who are still in love with Tumblr, just for whatever reason it is. I mean, I find
titties in between the tatties.
yeah, that's where you get all your porn, man. I try to tell people that all the time. They're like,
I heard that. I don't barely use it, but everyone was just like, "Hey, that's just a Pornhub."
Not a sponsor.
No, never. I've got non-sponsored drinks over there, and then.
These ones. They could sponsor us. We'll give them a free sponsorship.
What is this one? Screwed extremely potent watermelon wasted THC syrup. Screwed.
That doesn't sound very medical. Okay.
It doesn't, does it? I don't think we got this one in a medical city though. This was purely recreational. This one's fun time. So this is dangerous too, because this is 1,150 milligram, and what do we say a good dose would be, like 200?
Well, 200 is fucking massive. 20 milligrams is a good dose for most people who don't.
We had all the time. We had those 300 milligram packet, and I ate that whole 300 milligram packet in one day when I was in Arizona. That was when I was getting tattooed by Jesse. I was pretty spaced by the end of that. So let's go for 100. Let's see.
Yeah, fuck it. Just I mean, like, you don't feel good. You're medicating right now. So.
Oh, well, it's in there. Here we go.
Yeah. To quote Joe Rogan, that like edibles are crazy because they change in your stomach. Like the enzymes in your digestive system change the actual chemical formula.
7 times more psychoactive, huh?
Yeah, 10 times more psychoactive than regular THC. I forget what it is. It's
he's
something metabolite.
Yeah. He's talking about the gummy bear that like steals your soul.
500 milligram gummy bears. Like, I thought the little gummies that I got were serious because I was nibbling these things, like taking quarters at a time because they're 200 milligram. These gummy bears are still only this big and they're 500 milligrams of, I mean, that's like
501 gummy bear?
Yeah. That's why if you eat half of one, it's 250 still. So you can eat an ear and actually get fucked up.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not fucking with that bad. I got like a whole bag of like probably 20 gummy bears that have 300 milligram in the total. So I just munch like slowly all day.
You know, and it's funny. I do concentrates all day. You know, I tell myself like, hey, when you move to Denver, you're gonna quit smoking cigarettes because I can just smoke spliffs all day. I'll have a little bit of rolling tobacco with me, and that'll get me by. But you know, edibles are a whole nother story, man. Like when I went to the Cannabis Cup in 2013, and we got judge passes, and they make you a little meal and stuff like that. They make you a little salad with like blanched leaves and sprinkles and crumb. Dude, at the end of this fucking thing, I asked the lady, I was like, oh, well, you know, how much weed did I just eat? And she goes, oh, we weren't counting. I was like, this is for judges. This is a judging pass. Dude, it was like, luckily it was Sunday.
Phenomenal.
Well, just I lost the whole day. It's the only time that I ever feel like I can't remember anything is when I take an enormous amount of edibles.
I've only ever had that once real bad off a brownie, and then I had to go to a family dinner. It was not fun.
Yeah, so, and it depends on how or what they're made with, because more than anything else, that's the only kind of stuff that'll kind of give me a little bit of an anxiety feeling. Is if I eat too much and I get too fucking high.
You're about to start tripping. Yep.
I'm just like, oh god, this is starting to be more hallucinogenic.
This shit's pretty delicious. I mixed it with some apple raspberry and some watermelon apple raspberry. But dogs are getting jealous. They want to get in. All right, I think it's time for some flour. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I got this little herbal vaporizer. I was hating on it at first, but it works pretty good now.
It's getting there.
Yeah, I think it was just shittier weed. Like, this tastes fucking delicious. Although it's weird that the high is always different. Like, you know, I smoked this same flower at my buddy's house right before we left, and I've been puffing on this thing for the past hour, and I'm still high, but it's just a different feeling. Because it's vaporized. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It is different. Excuse me if I die off this too, because I have been sick pretty much all week, and I've been trying to smash out work and try to be healthy and tell myself that I'm not sick.
Yeah. So you got to do that Boss Root and shit, or whatever the fuck that guy's name is, where he breathes and he can teach you how to fight off a cold.
Oh, yeah. I love that, man, but I've not seen that. I just love how he likes trying to keep people in the head.
Oh, no, maybe it's not Boss Root. It might be another dude.
The UFC dude, the like bald dude that fucking does all those funny as fuck videos.
No, it's not him. He knows this dude. That's what it was. But there's another dude. He's the guy who runs in ice, like does these marathons barefoot and like with no clothes on, and he can sit and like he can like change his body temperature. He teaches people how to do this shit. Dude's super legit.
Sits there in the lotus position, and his balls just start melting the ice underneath him.
Well, like that's what's crazy is I watched one of these documentaries not too long ago about those Shaolin monks, or these high altitude monks who wrap themselves in wet sheets and sit outside.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers it, baby. Smoke that shit. Snapping cones.
Delicious. All right, Mr. Benny P. What up, Dad?
Oh, shit.
All right. Yeah. We got Benny with us now.
We live.
Tattoo Benny from the owner of Oculus Tattoo.
What's up, guys?
He's coming to smoke some dabs and talk some shit with us.
Awesome. Welcome. Episode lucky number 6.
Oh,
we've done a few now. It's hard to remember how many.
Yeah. Well, I try to only listen to the last ones because they're the only ones that seem any good.
Yeah, the first 3 are fucked to listen to.
Yeah.
We're going to give Benny some of this fucking weed lean as well. What do you want to put it with? Coke or fucking Powerade? It's watermelon.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Coke?
Yeah, rock it. Cheers, brother.
Oh, gee. Wish I could advertise Coca-Cola.
This is Oculus's version of Coca-Cola. I'm Nokia Cola.
Knock your ass out.
It's hard to show how much. So.
Yeah, it's funny because you're just dosing that shit out. You're like, man, it's cool. Well done. Cheers, David. David just had a quick bowl while we were meeting up with Benny real quick. I got this little vaporizer going too. It's pretty nice. Which the little your little weed vape. All right. Yeah, it's a little dildo thing. Flower, then dab.
That was new, really.
It's fucking rad. Mm-hmm. I was telling David off air that it was trade for tattoos, which we often get, which is sick. Mm-hmm. Well, I just did a huge trade while I was in Longview to the people that I tattooed for a fucking French bulldog puppy. Wait, I was like, I tattooed the husband and the wife, and the husband, because I tattooed his whole leg, I was like, he's like, you know, I'll pay you for this. He's like, you know, you can do however much you want to do on my wife's, you know, tattoo, because we had this shit planned out. And I was like, cool. He's like, well, if you're up for a trade, my dog's pregnant. I was like, what kind of dog do you have? And he's got AKC full-bred fucking French bulldogs. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'll give you pick of the litter. I was like, well, I just want a female. I mean, these dogs are like $3,500 US.
So, those Frenchies.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. Tell me when the dog's here, and I'll even come down and put a little bit more on your wife, just so I don't feel bad for taking this fucking $3,000 dog. Yeah, that's all right. I didn't have to do much to get that $3,000 dog. Yeah, exactly. So I want to go back. Let me just color on you just a little bit more, so my conscience is a little clearer. Benny used to tattoo this dude that used to breed fucking like what were they?
The tricolor.
Yeah. Frenchies.
Yeah, and fucking.
They were American Frenchies, but they were fucking huge, man. They were just like a mini version of a big ass bulldog.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, these guys are real small dogs.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I'm gonna travel with this dog around with me, just so I'm gonna put a little vest on him. Say he's a emotional support dog, so that I can go through the border checkpoints, and if they have canines, I was like, well, I got a dog in the car, and then they just wave you on through.
For real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let get drugs. For sure. Just dogs.
Well, it's just like, you know, I don't do any crazy drugs anymore. I just want to smoke weed, and it's hard to go to like crazy ass states and not have weed. So.
Wait till you come to Australia. He's gonna do that shit illegally everywhere.
Yeah, that's how it is in Texas right now. You just shit bricks all the time.
But it's still no different. We smoke it like it's legal.
Exactly.
Well, like I said before, I was like, I just don't know that it's illegal.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
It's ignorance.
Exactly. Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance. Yeah. I'm not gonna put myself through all that stress. It's like I love that joke that, like, you know, I went to the doctor and got my weed, you know, license for medical. It's like, well, what excuse did you give him? I told him I got anxiety every time I thought about how illegal weed was.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with it. The most dangerous thing about marijuana is getting caught with it.
Well, it's everybody bitches about the paranoia, and I'm like, the only reason we're paranoid is because it's just illegal.
Yeah, I had no paranoia in Denver. There was
no.
Yeah.
It's weird that border, just crossing that border, you'd feel this weird feeling of, it's going to be okay.
Use my mouth on the bug. I can't feel it.
Then he's just been to the dentist for everyone out there.
Yeah.
He's just had a root canal.
Just had a root canal done, so I'm a bit numb on one side of the head.
We thought it was the best time for a podcast.
Bit interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll have to get subtitles for all the people over here in the States, though. They already have a hard time with accents.
Oh, come on.
Everybody thought you were British.
Really? And maybe that's because I lived over there for a while. Even, like, I have people tell me I don't sound very Australian, so that's normal.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because you're classy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
That's nice. What stuff's that?
That is the white rhino.
Yeah.
Oh,
goodness. It's a good white rhino, too. It's the same strain we got.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hell good.
You guys stay pretty consistent with keeping track of strains and stuff like that, you know, even though it's all kind of like black market.
It's easy to keep track of because there's fuck all strains.
So over there. Okay. There's not a lot of
Nah, so it's like most people, you know, are just growing the same old crap, and then you get lucky with people that actually know what they're doing and know where the seeds have come from, and then you get a good hookup with that, and then it becomes a bit easier. But
yeah, people will say they grow on a certain strain, but it's
not
grown to the level that we expect it to be grown
yeah,
at. So
yeah.
Plants have got that strain, but rarely you actually find that strain.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny, it's odd that there's such a subsection of the tattoo world where there's weed connoisseurs, real weed connoisseurs, because it's not like I don't know a lot of dudes who smoke weed who are tattooers who are just like, smoke any kind of weed. I know some guys who have gotten brick weed just to be like, hey, this is what it was like in high school. But like now they want the best shit that they can get their fucking hands on. And, you know, they're nerds about it. It's a weird thing that we get that into it inside this community. Sure. I think it's all the freedom. We just don't have to fucking answer to anybody. So we're like, we're just going to do whatever the fuck we want to the fullest.
And it's just because we become obsessive with all that shit anyway, that it's just we obsess over what we do, and then if that becomes part of what we do, then we obsess over that part, and it's got to be the best to go with what we're trying to do of the best.
Makes sense. Yeah, we're also creative. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I need it.
Everything to the nth degree.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, dab time. So we were kind of chatting shit about social media shit before, just like the importance a little bit of like having to use it for work and like exposure and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, exactly.
And Benny's a prime example of having good exposure on Instagram and social media and all the rest of it, and now having the shop website, Instagram pumping. So
yeah,
it's very important. So
it is. For people in our industry, artists in general, and for other professions as well, I guess, that are in that same sort of genre. It's one of the biggest things and the best things that we can do now is use social media as such a high platform for advertising as it is such a worldwide, world-renowned thing, which is free. Exactly. So
makes it so much better.
It does, definitely. It's something that you have to definitely use and know how to use properly as well, you know.
And we watch people fuck up on it all the time. Makes it kind of funny.
Yeah.
Some people just have no fucking idea what they're doing on there, and you follow them just to watch that shit.
You know, one of the biggest mistakes that I see so much is people complaining not about being they're not busy, so they complain about it, or they put up online that they like, I have all next month available. Like, dude, like,
don't tell them that.
Oh, man.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
When I first discovered Facebook back in the day, and I realized that there was this thing where people could post their opinions and you had the opportunity to comment on their opinion.
Oh, man.
I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. I was just like, yeah, here we go.
Actually tell you what I think without having a look at you face to face.
Exactly. Yeah, that was great.
Oh, it's the birth of trolls, man. Like, that's where it comes from. Yeah. And it's bad when you hang out with a bunch of shit talkers all the time, like tattooers do, because, you know, we're fucking horrible to each other. Like, I've had people come in when I was working in shops and they'd be like, man, if my brother talked to me like that, I'd be having a fight right now. Like we would say horrible things about each other's mothers and just like you shrug that shit off. And so when you get online and you're like, oh, nobody even has to fucking see me do this, you say the worst shit. Like I felt ashamed of myself. You know what I mean? Like I look at what I was like, oh man.
Now Facebook memories are there, so you can see what you posted 2 or 3 years ago, and you're like, fuck, I actually said that.
You're like, damn, I've matured. I think I have.
Facebook, you know how much I've matured every year.
Look what you were saying back then.
Yeah.
Even just being scroll all the way back through your Instagram. So I did it even through my followers and that shit the other day, like going all the way back to my first photo, and it's fucking crazy being able to like timeline that shit.
Yeah,
now.
Man. Just seeing progression of not only that, but seeing progression of your art as well, which is also a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think that's like an organic consequence of having social media is you get that, hey, I can look back until 2011 and go, oh, what the fuck is wrong with me? What was I doing? Yeah. On the flip side of all of that is like what happens like I remember when we first started getting into Facebook and MySpace and shit like that we were working off a computer, and God forbid if you fucking left your shit logged in. Oh my God, the fucking horrible shit that people would fucking do.
If Facebook's still open on a computer at work, that is still fucking...
You're fucked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason I got rid of Facebook. I was like, I got fucked over all the time.
Oh, man. And sometimes you're just so busy that you don't even think about it. You're just like, man.
Exactly, yeah. What was that?
I said, sometimes you just get so busy that you're not even paying that fucking attention. You're just, I need to answer this message or I need to do this real quick. And you hop off and then you come home and you look and you're like, oh, man, why did they spend 45 minutes photoshopping me on top of naked gay dudes and fucking posting me coming out. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, if you motherfuckers are this creative with your schedule, you'd be working instead of fucking around.
That is working.
Yeah.
True story.
Staying creative, exactly right. It's just Photoshop skills, just getting good at them for when the client comes and you're like, I can do this real quick now. I've Photoshopped like 7 dicks around my workmate's face.
You think that's how you think that's how Benjamin Lucas gets all those ideas? Is just he got trolled so much
too many times. He's
like, fuck it, I'm just gonna tattoo it on somebody.
One day, someone trolled his account saying how much he loves fucking gags in the mouth, and now he's just embraced it.
That's on there.
That's one way to find your style, right?
That's it.
It's like all my friends used to write on my forehead when I would pass out. And then when I left my comment open, yeah, it's pretty good.
Funny. All right, we're gonna do this dab. We got lost.
Yeah, do your dabs.
Where the fuck it is? Here it is.
But social media is one of those things, especially on the side of being a business owner. I think, Benny, you could probably speak to this a little bit more. How important it is just for how you represent your brand and how you can show yourself in the professional. How people handle that. I mean, like. It's interesting to me just how people name their tattoo shops. Like there's a tattoo shop here in town called Scumbag Tattoos. And I get that maybe they don't think about it that way, but I'd like to hear your opinion on the business side of owning a business, not even just from the tattoo.
Well, my whole idea of the studio was that I wanted it to be, a classy name, a classy look. I wanted it to really be separate from those old school sort of shops that you walk into back in the day where you walk in and you instantly feel like unwelcome or you don't feel comfortable in there, So one of my main goals for this shop was to have classy vibes as soon as you look at the shop. You walk inside the shop and it's a very open studio. Everyone who I've got working there, I've carefully selected over my years of tattooing and meeting different groups of tattooists and people in that, So you come into our shop and it's very open, it's very welcoming, it's very well presented. I spend a lot of money on decking out the studio with real classic sort of Victorian style furniture that's just like really beautiful for people to look at, man. And we get all types of. It makes you want to be there. You walk into the studio and you instantly feel like, yes, like this is where I want to get tattooed. Look at the quality of this place. I expect to pay good money for quality tattoos. There was no low level at this shop. We wanted it to be the best, and we wanted our clients to feel 100% welcome and leave with a smile on their face. And that was
it's translated through to everything here. It's like the name, the shop, the look, the artist working there, the vibe of the place, which is what Benny really wanted to do at the start. Just like we pretty much got like 10 tattooists that you can't get rid of at the end of the night. All their girlfriends are bringing, where are you? We know you're at the shop.
That's it. And everything down to the shop business cards, is to the
class.
Top quality that I can, and everything I do, whether it's merchandise, whether it's a tattoo, I want to be of that same quality. So we're just sort of, staying at that level where
bumping it up all the time.
Exactly. Just sort of stepping it up to what it could be and what it should be, and getting out of that sort of like backyardy sort of idea of all the people that don't really understand tattooing or haven't been around tattooing assume that it is, So just wanted to sort of come in and try and change that, which is what I think we have done with not only me, it's the guys that we have working there, Sam, Chris, my brother, Tim, everyone that works there. Just really good people, and I couldn't have hoped for it to be any better than it already is, So
well, I think it's it comes back to, of course, you always judge a man by the company he keeps. Of course, that's always one thing that you look at. But I think also in a strange way, most people don't look at it through this lens, but it's a great bullshit filter to put things together really high quality. You get rid of a lot of bullshit when people walk in the door and they realize the kind of experience that they're going to receive being in this place, then they understand, hey, this is not really a place for me to fuck around. These people obviously take this extremely seriously, and I think that's one of the best things about it. But it also, it's not done in a way, at least through your social media presence, what I can experience from the shop, it's not done in a way to where it's pretentious or it's exclusionary. It just shows how,
shows how professional we are, and I've always said that about social media and Instagram especially. Like Facebook's a bit differently, as Facebook's more of my friends and family.
Yeah, it's a personal thing for sure.
A bit of a laugh on Facebook and that, but Instagram's my platform of professional face, serious businessman. This is how we do it. This is how it's going to get done when you come in. This is how you'll be treated. Every time I post, it's written well.
It's all about aesthetics, eh? So
exactly right.
It's got to look good. So
and if you look like a shit person who just doesn't give a shit about your work on Instagram, then
it comes across.
It comes across to your work as well. So, if you look professional on Instagram, you come in and people are going to expect a professional experience, and that's what they're going to get with us. So
yeah, I think a good set of tips for people who maybe are not as understanding of how much of an impression it makes on people, how you put yourself out on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it ends up being, is you really have to treat it like your portfolio. Like if you do a cool tattoo, but it's not what you want to do, don't put it on fucking Instagram just for the likes.
Yeah. You don't have to post everything, and that's one big thing that we've all been going through lately. We've all stopped posting heaps. That's just solely because we just keep getting that same shit coming back, It's
right. It's what you put out there is what comes back, It's that whole domino effect. And that goes for portfolios. And, one of the great tricks, though, for like going to conventions that I've done is I'll put out a sign. I'll purposely not like bring my portfolio out of the car, and I'll put up a little sign like, I was attacked by ninjas on my way to the convention. They stole my portfolio. Check out my Instagram. And what's great about that is people will pull up your work right away, and then they'll follow you. And then you have a real impression and you have a connection there, at least for that next time you go to that city and stuff like that. So it's more than just using social media on social media. You're supposed to use it in real life. It's a great way to show people your work and have them hold on to a piece of your portfolio, because they're going to show people. They're going to show their friends, especially if they get tattooed by you.
Exactly. And especially if they have a good experience there.
Remember when we just had fucking like actual like folios?
Yeah.
You have to go to fucking down to the little like Photoshop and like edit your shit and like crop it up how you want it, the size, and then go through your actual like photo albums. Man, that shit just doesn't exist anymore. Now you're just like, have you got Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
I remember having to put together huge packages of actual photos and sending them to all the magazines back in the day. When you had to put together photos, there was no sending them even jump drives back then. Yeah. They wanted actual high quality photos. Now they'll just go on your Facebook and contact you, or they'll just like screenshot your shit and do their magic or whatever the fuck they want. Now it's a crazy time to be in a creative field. It's fucking crazy. It's so easy. It's so easy.
Man, I never sent anything into magazines.
Nah,
I think by the time I worked out, that's what you did. Yeah, I thought people asked you, and then by the time I worked it out, magazines were done in Australia anyway, and I only wanted to get the only ones I liked back in the day were like UK magazines, like Skin Deep and fucking Total Tattoo, and there was a couple of American good ones. What were they?
I only ever used to follow American tattooers. I only ever knew about American tattooers when I started tattooing.
Yeah.
Got into the tattoo industry here, and I started to discover all these Australian tattooists like Sam, Tennille Napoli, Fabs, Bummer, Byron, all these OGs of Australian tattooing. Chris Cashmore, all them guys, Ben Lucas, and I was just mind blown. The first tattoo expo I did in Australia, where I met Sam, was pretty much where I was like open to this whole tattoo world in Australia, man, which I didn't even know existed really,
It was like,
all I ever look at was
PTAA.
Yeah, the PTAA.
Yeah.
I only ever loosely used to look at the American Chicano style, the guys like Picasso, He was one of my favorite when I first started tattooing.
Yeah, Picasso. I remember Picasso coming through our shops when this is back in probably like 06, 07. He would come by our shop and sell.
I would have been 09
Yeah.
when I started tattooing. So
yeah, he started selling. He was selling us a flash, original flash that he was printing himself at Kinko's and shit like that. Because like the guy that I came up through, this guy Orlando Rodriguez here in El Paso, he's got ties to a bunch of the old school tattooers, and he's part of the National Tattoo Association, so he was real good friends with like Jose Lopez and all the lowrider guys, and those are the guys that we learned black and gray from. Like the whole smooth Chicano style
and that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, in Slinger's Ball, watching fucking Banditos and fucking Hell's Angels getting fucking go at it and shit. Oh my god. On Sunset fucking Boulevard, dog.
Yeah,
fuck that.
I think we've seen the videos.
Definitely.
There's just crazy old dudes that like I love that they were tattooers just because of their character, like Gil Monty, Gil the Drill, like he would carry knives on him all the fucking time, just all the time. But he would never carry. Yeah, he would never carry knives below his belt. And I remember like hanging out in this hotel room, being this young tattooer, just a fly on the wall, just sitting there shutting the fuck up. And this guy's talking to Gil, and Gil's like, this knife right here has a hole in it, so I can grab a motherfucker and not drop my knife. And he grabs his knife, throws him up against the wall. And he goes, well, you keep like a boot knife or anything else? And Gil freaks out. He's like, I ain't no faggot. I don't need to get anything out of my pants. What's going on? Drug-fueled crazy days, man. It was those old guys, though. Like, it was a whole different world. They look at social media like we're faggots.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Just don't understand it, Yeah. And you can,
which is cool.
They're not wrong in some circumstances, but the things that we use it for and the ways other people use it for.
But otherwise you get left in the dark, right?
Exactly.
Unless you're someone like that.
I think the people who are the most flexible in this game go the farthest. It's there's something like we were talking about tradition last one, but like there's something about like, yeah, you can keep that tradition alive, but you got to move forward with the times. You got to use every advantage you have because somebody else is going to do that. It's like talking about only American tattooers, but if you look at these places where they didn't have a heavy Western influence on tattooing, you see amazing fucking tattooers coming out, fucking, Asia, outside of Japan, Taiwanese tattooers who are just blow up, and you're just because they just break the rules. They don't.
Yeah, man.
They know there's stuff that's wrong.
You're going all robot-y on us. You've had too many dabs.
You guys too. You're dropping down a little bit. Maybe that's all.
We gave the computer too many dabs.
But yeah, speaking of Asian tattooists, a couple of my friends, as you would never assume we'd go get tattooed in Bali now, but nowadays,
some pretty good dudes over there now.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that I've known for a few years now. I've gone back and forth, sort of had a little chats with them about tattooing and explained a few things to them and shown them this and this and that. And nowadays, my boy Jockey Fluke, he's absolutely killing it. If you look up Luxury Inc. On Instagram, the dude absolutely slays it, and everyone that's starting to work with him now, they just absorb it. Everything you tell them and what they see, they just take it in so well, and the work ethic of those guys it's just only going to make them get better and better.
And make us look like shit. Tattoo for like 12,
they do, and the work they're doing now is
shit.
Absolutely unreal. So.
Oh yeah, he's killing it, man. Monster, good, really nice black and gray.
What would be the equivalent in the States? Do people go to Mexico and get tattooed like real cheap down there? And it's just like
no, they just I can't really think of any place where somebody would go for cheap tattooing other than stay inside their city and just find a cheap tattooer. You know what I mean? Because they don't care about fucking quality if they want cheap tattoos here. You know what I mean?
Would you know a state off the top of your head that it'd just be like the cheapest fucking state to get tattooed in anyway?
No. There's not like really a state.
Right.
And the only reason I say that is because, you know, I travel so much that I go to these states and I get my hourly rate, or I ask what the hourly rate is that they charge in that city, you know, for most of my contemporary buddies and shit like that. Because I don't want to come in and undercut a bunch of fucking people when I do a guest spot and shit like that. So, you know,
and more fucking tattooists there though. But you could like go to places in Australia, like you could even just go from Melbourne to Geelong and you could get a tattoo half the price, but you get what you pay for. So
yeah, that's the same thing here. You definitely get what you pay for. And I think now more people are educated in the fact that quality tattoos take quality money. You know, you're gonna put a quantity down. I mean, most of the people that you know I run into and I talk to, on average, you know, about $150 an hour is acceptable to most people out here.
US, that's just like the standard, or that's for like someone popping out pretty good shit?
Yeah, no, like me and Jason and fucking the guys that I roll around with, that's kind of our average. Basic, normally like it's 80, you know, $100 an hour maybe.
Yeah, it's saying like ours here is like 2 to 250 would be like our rates at the like higher end, and then like then everyone else like sort of the 180. This is Australian dollars too, so it works out nearly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then you get like monster dudes who, you know, it's $3,000 a day.
Yeah, and then you can still go to somewhere in Australia they'll do $100 an hour or less. Like I've heard of like 60, 80 as well. So
yeah, my buddies are covered in some of this $3,000 a day tattooing though, and it's pretty fucking incredible. Yeah, you know, Rember and shit like that, and and it's just like holy fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy shit.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brandon said he's probably got $12,000 or $15,000 in one arm.
I've never seen anything short of like someone saying that I've paid $3,000 for a day or anything like that, and it's not been worth it really. I think like, not that I've seen so far. Eh?
They're still sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
At least 10 hours if you're going to pay $3,000 a day.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's, you know, the
massive rib piece, like 14 hours he sat there one day at 3 hours, just like. Definitely get your money's worth on some of those big ass tattoos with some awesome artists. Yeah,
I think it's worth it. I mean, it's cheaper than buying a really expensive painting.
Oh man, I've always said that. I like pay it to put it on my wall, so fuck it. I get to have it on my body
for sure. You get to wear it everywhere.
And maybe people will be a little bit more open-minded, and we can start skinning people. Oh, people don't fucking like that for some reason, and that's coming from a Jew. That's coming from a Jew saying that.
Shit.
Taking our art and selling it. like what they're doing with Banksy, bro.
Yeah, that's it. Stealing walls.
Just taking those fucking walls out. It's crazy.
Taking the walls out, man. Still selling for $500K.
Yep.
Selling art for $500K. Just by taking their wall off.
Yeah.
And you know,
that's Banksy.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the way he made fun of it too, for the way he made fun of the art community with that Exit Through the Gift Shop documentary, for them to go back around and still be like, let's fuck it up some more.
It's crazy. Just taking that.
Is he still pumping out shit, Banksy?
Yeah, here and there. As far as I know, he's still.
I haven't seen as much
he's
stuff.
Still unanimous.
Yeah, exactly right.
Anonymous.
He's done pretty well.
Yeah.
To stay at this point.
Yeah.
Well, like I went out to when I was in London, I saw some Space Invaders shit, man. Yeah, that shit's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I just like seeing it. You just spec them out, and you're like, damn, that's fucking crazy. And then you go look at it, and you're like, damn, that's a real Space Invader.
Yeah.
Just those little subway tiles, man. I'm like, that's the dopest shit ever. Which is what a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever hit Australia. We got some pretty good people here in Australia pumping out some cool shit, like street art stuff.
Yeah, look, fucking graph. That was crazy. Like watching that shit spread around the entire world and trying to get all of these books like while you were sleeping and all of these cool fucking underground tagging books. I was never any good at it. I tried.
Because I was always airbrush. Like Benny can use cans, but I've never been very good at that. I've picked up a couple of cans like since I've met Benny, but yeah.
I started off graphing in Perth, but stopped when I started tattooing, which I was about 17 when I stopped. So I just put everything into tattooing. I still did a lot of graphing and here and there, fucking around here and there, but
yeah,
the focus became tattooing. So
I think that's important though. Like
But
that kind of distinction.
Like when I first started tattooing, I did a lot of lettering. So having the graffiti background helped a lot with like letter structure when it comes to drawing script and block letters and all that sort of stuff. So I did used to do a lot of lettering and still do enjoy doing the occasional custom piece, you know.
Yeah.
But, so graffiti definitely helped with that. We got 2 guys at the shop. That's like one still gets paid thousands of dollars now.
Yeah.
He's the other week we were talking about lettering, and I was like, I used to like doing lettering. I was like, he's like, I wouldn't working with Mayo anymore, and I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah. Plus, I'm dyslexic, and I'm like, nah. No. like I want to have Mayo tattoo me. Like that'll be like the only lettering that I'll get.
Yeah, man.
Just because I like this style. I just like the style. It just looks like sacred script.
Exactly. We had it on our floor and just like some ritual. Like,
oh, dude, your floor is fucking retarded.
Man,
oh my God, this thing is just like ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, look at this thing.
I tell everyone, if you can read it out clearly, out loud, the circles start rotating like opposite directions. The floor opens up a portal.
Some Doctor Strange shit.
Ritualistic, man. You walk in it and you just like.
We should check back on all the video cameras and see how many people have just sat there trying to fucking circle around.
I just think I need to do some acid and look at it, and then I'll know exactly what's going on.
Man, if you had mushrooms at it, I think it would turn into a portal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just dive into that motherfucker, and you're just like.
Yeah, I literally sat there. It took him about 4 hours as well, man. Once he got the circles.
Oh my God!
He just went around, boom, 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 and I just stood there with him the whole night, just calling out different quotes and names that I wanted on the floor. I pretty much just used like Bob Marley, Tupac, Eminem quotes, like shop name, my name, Matt's name, you know, and my brother who's part owner of the shop.
Yeah. You're trying to read it.
Yeah, just calling him out, and he's just like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like you're not the same species, right? When you see somebody that good, you just look at it and you're just like,
It's absolutely unreal, and he's only getting better, especially the tattoos he's been doing lately.
Yeah. Crispy clean where they need to be, and then all brush strokey, just
Yeah,
it's good. It's good shit though, and it's unique, and that's what's interesting about what's happening with tattooing and the evolution we're going through. Is there's so much new shit that's coming out to where we're gonna run out of styles. There's not gonna be styles anymore. It's gonna be that's what that guy does, that's what that guy does, and we don't know what to call it.
Yeah, mishmash of everything. Hey?
Like I love trying to hear people explain bioorganic and biomechanical shit. Like it's so funny. Like they always revert back to that corny early '90s bio where it's like it's hoses and wires and people steam and gear. And I'm like, dude, no, this is not what you want. This is not what you want. It's like, let me just draw something, and then you can look at it, and then you can tell me if you want that, because you don't know what you want.
I still quite often get a lot of people referred to me for bio from like other shops, people that are like other shops that I've worked in. And then they, someone will bring in some bio and they'll be like, oh, no, go see Sam down in Oculus or whatever. And they still haven't really looked at my work. And then they come to me and it's always that same shit, like you said, the gears and cogs and spring coils and all kinds of shit. And
that's like, just photorealism. You can get a photorealistic artist to do that shit.
Exactly. It's evolved. I mean, but it's evolved in tattooing. It hasn't really evolved outside of it that people can see. So people get fixated on that one thing or one age or whatever, and that's what and then you can show them what could be done from there.
But I think that's why it's one of the most interesting types of tattooing, is because it's based around the anatomy. There's no other form that you can do unless people get into like painting fucking mannequins heavily, and that becomes like an art form, you know what I mean? Like if that became a thing, there'd be some kind of reference for it, but it's hard to explain. It's just like trying to explain how a sleeve works, and like what we talked about in the fourth podcast about composition. It's people don't think about tattoos that same way. They look at flat images and they're like, this is how it would work, right? It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well, it's like sculpting or 3D, like sculpting or digital shit or something like that. That's probably the closest you're going to get to like follow those same sort of forms. So like you said, unless you like painting mannequins, and it's pretty much a tattoo form on its own. I mean, there's bio everywhere. Like I get inspiration from like nature and games and like all kinds of shit that like people show me at the shop. But exactly, everything like that. So it's really just an extension of everything else put on that 3D form, like you're talking about on an arm or on anatomy.
I think it and one of the other interesting things about it is that it's a non-narrative form of tattooing. It's not really telling you a story. It's not a picture of something. It's not trying to send a message. It asks questions. Nice. And that's like the difference between abstract art and narrative art, you know, is abstract art asks questions.
Yeah. Especially those ones you do that are just sort of like filling those odd gaps, man. You get
the trap fillers.
Trap one you did the other day.
Yeah. Just gnashing teeth and fucking spiky shit, man. It's just
it's dope.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the fun of it too. It's like those weird gaps. Sometimes it fucks if you're drawing up. You're like, oh, like trying to get the shapes and everything. But when you finally see that right flow coming through it, then it gets a bit easier from there. And but that, like, I literally rely on the anatomy for that shit.
Yeah, bro, for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think you build those rules for yourself, right? You have like a set of loose rules, and you're like, this has to kind of move this way and go with this, and then
and that rule is like every time I do it, it's just like add a new rule or take away a rule or just like try something else. But like you said, you got to like stick to that format throughout the whole thing to make it like work together. It's like when you start changing your mind halfway through of, oh, fuck, I'll change that. That's when I not being as happy with it. I say fucked it up, but, it's just to me that didn't have the depth that I could get or something like that. So you stick to those rules and it helps. Like I used to not like to draw it beforehand. So now I've even like been freehanding it and then like quick digital sketch to confirm that rule and then just go and do it. And that's like makes it easier to stick to that shit.
Do you find that, the more you work with a particular image and understand like realism and light, that it makes it more convincing when you start creating your own textures and patterns and things like that? Do you think that that's necessary for where your past, you needed to come through that to get to where you are?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I do a lot of realism, a lot of portraits and stuff like that. But when I'm doing my own realism, I take a lot of pride in trying not to look at any references as much as possible. Like I'll go off references, I'll draw over over an image to get my proportion and stuff like that. But I'll try as much as I can to not look at the reference as much as I can, so that it just becomes my own. It's whatever.
Freehand a heap of shit too, or you're
exactly.
Real loose stencil and freehand over the top to like change it, make it literally your own. So there's no way it's somewhere good. Just to put that shit off.
For sure. Like I might find a real pretty face, but I'll just like change the light source completely on the face. I did it just the other day with that Vendetta mask one.
But even
it was a real flat image, and I had to create that heavy light source here. And but you follow those certain rules that you pick up. The more and more you do, just straight copy a picture. You find those little rules inside of the face that you can just sort of replicate every time, or add that little bit there, or enhance that bit there.
Yeah, a lot of the time you're enhancing, like making something look better than the image. You're like, that you can make that shape more pleasing across that part of the face, and it's like better than what that picture looks like. So you're like, why would I copy that when I can do it better?
Sure, man. It's like one big thing that I got from one of my conversations with Byron Dreschler. He said, you got to trick the brain, and and it's like, it doesn't matter sort of where you create that shadow, but it's like you're creating a shadow, which in turn is tricking the brain to seeing that shadow. Like no matter how low or how high you put that shadow, it's still going to trick the brain into thinking
that's it.
And noticing that shadow, So that was one big thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. But like you freehand a heap of your shit as well. So like even the trap bits that I was doing the other day, I've watched you do like the architecture sort of like freehand trap things. And like what David was saying a second ago, it's like you need to like, Benny's done so much like drawing and tattooing and like studying, and then like going into fucking like looking at buildings to study how that light hits certain architraves and shapes and shit, so he can replicate it. Like you're saying,
so much now.
Once he's freehanding it, so definitely you need that memory bank of all that sort of shit to be able to do that.
And knowledge of light source and edges, man. And that's just one thing that some people can't comprehend is light sources and where to put what shadows and stuff like that. Some people need to have that finished image right next to them and just like replicate it onto skin. Like
some people's brains must be so different, huh? It's like some people can like visualize where that light is and how it's hitting and the shapes and all that
see
sort of
which
stuff.
bits are forward and which bits are back and what needs to be black and what doesn't.
Some people are very structural. They need to be able to like see it to believe it.
I think it has more to do with relying. It's like relying on the calculator. You don't learn math. I think there's a lot of focus on using this digital tooling that we have, and it's pushing people out of the ideal of illustration. I mean, like I think we easily forget that people illustrated images that we couldn't photograph or replicate in a good manner, and they made up these light sources in amazing ways. Sure. We can do it. Everybody can do it, but you got to practice it.
We started drawing anatomy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
For getting actual dead bodies and highly illegal thing, but doing it better than what we could fucking Photoshop nowadays. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the same thing of like, you know, when I was going to art school, we did figure drawing all the fucking time. And it was one of the things where it was quick exercises. You're not even trying to get into the detail, but you're learning the basics of anatomy. And then you can dive deeper and deeper into it. And then you know what's wrong and what's right when you look at things. And then you can start playing with light. I think people who get into painting or working in another art form outside of tattooing grasp that concept much quicker, and then it feeds back into tattooing. Because I know a lot of guys who replicate images, and they're great, fantastic tattooers. They can replicate an image like nobody's business, but they don't paint, they don't charcoal, they don't really do anything else.
No, it's just that image they replicated. It's not what else comes with that tattoo, you know. And that was one big thing that I noticed back in the day when I first started doing portraits. I was like, all right, yeah, portraits are cool, people like portraits, but more and more people are starting to do portraits. It's not only doing the portrait, it's what comes with the portrait that kind of makes a good tattoo nowadays. It's the whole package. It was finishing off the portrait, it was adding thwas things around the portrait or to complement the portrait, you know, like, and that they were the sort of people that started to take off was that and some, you know.
Well, that's all the people you started noticing. It's like you'd see everyone like on social media or even in magazines. Everyone could do that portrait, but then it was like this cunt could do this fucking sick flow across the back of it, or like something that just draws your eye everywhere.
Finish it off really nice and join it really nice, and not create a sleeve of pieces rather than creating a sleeve that joins together and flows really nice with the body, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's the only way you can get away with just straight being a realistic artist and working off reference is you have to be one of the best in the world to be a standout in that category when it comes down to that. Like Ben Ochoa and Steve Butcher fill that fold because they're so fucking good.
What up, Steve? Keep killing it, you motherfucker.
I even messaged him on the thing. I was like, you have to watch the podcast now. You've had a fucking shout out on nearly everyone. But this is a person that, like you said, it's like they stand out because
so hard. Like you cannot, you know, it's like looking at Chris Showstopper's shit and his black and gray. You look at that shit and you're like, okay, well, you can copy some images and do some crazy shit on top of that shit.
This bro is he'll do those pieces that Steve takes 10 hours. Chris will do it in 3 hours, man. That's what's mind blowing about Chris. And that's just for the detail and the texture and the like time that he seems to put into these huge tattoos. And hearing about how he actually does them, man, that's mind blowing in itself.
Oh, trust me, I want to fucking sit there and be like, teach me, wizard.
Yeah, definitely.
We've tried that. We've got it fucked up and everything.
We just run amok.
Sometimes you just can't get everything. It's in those hands and in that brain, huh?
Yeah.
Right? What's even worse is when you get guys who can't articulate how they do it, or they don't have the vocabulary for it, and they're just like, well, I just make it, you see how it looks over there? I just make it look like that here. Like, that's how I do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Bastards. Woo. That was a big one. All right.
Oh, you bastards.
Where's your dab rig, huh?
Well, my dab rig's here. It's the dabs that aren't. It's a little dry, right? It's just a little dry right now. Well, because I went a little crazy because I brought a bunch of shit back from Denver. Well, yeah, I just went to Denver recently, and I brought a bunch of shit back. And then when you're rich in weed or rich in dabs, you do a lot more, and your tolerance goes up, and you just have to smoke. And I just blew through it super quick.
Yeah, it's easy to do. And then you get so stuck on it that you forget to fucking reorder some more. It's going to take a week. And then
Yeah, that's all I'm waiting for. Well, and then you get the fucked up thing that you're like, okay, well, I smoked all of the wax that I have, and now I only got weed, and now I don't even get high off this weed. for a week because I'm still coming off the dabs.
Yeah. I always mix them up, so just in case.
Yeah, I like
just in case.
Yeah. And then there's always something else around.
What's crazy about Denver though is that the weed culture is very much let's smoke joints and let's just smoke a lot of weed. Because like I was like, if you guys had a bong, you guys could stretch out this weed a lot more. And no, they're not having it. Like, you got to clean that shit. It's like, you fucking hippies. Clean shit.
Yeah.
Wearing your Birkenstocks.
It's like the fancy one that doesn't get used very often, so I don't have to clean it very often. And then the fucking everyday ballot.
I just remember like we bought an ultrasonic separate for like we bought the one for the shop to clean tubes, and then we got another one and we kept it at my house and just to clean pipes because that shit will clean
an ultrasonic
fucking pipe, dog. It will clean a pipe like nobody's business. Like 15 minutes, that motherfucker is brand new.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I've heard of people cooking hot dogs in a fucking what do you call it? In an ultrasonic
autoclave.
That's it. Yeah.
That's fucking disgusting. Like, you got an autoclave, but you ain't got a microwave? What kind of operation is this?
Not a barbecue.
I was like, y'all don't even have a lighter. It's more preferable to just take a Bic to that shit.
Surely it was done just to see if it could be done. I would fucking hope whoever did.
I hope.
I don't even remember who the fuck told me that, but I know someone's told me that. So
that's fucking nice.
Yeah.
I remember this. Speaking of that nasty shit, so we had a piercer at the shop. And he had put it was like a receiving tube for piercing, and I guess he didn't clean it out well, and there was like a plug of skin in there, and he fucking cooked this motherfucker, and then he opened it, and no lie, it smelled like pork chops. It was fucking disgusting. It's making me a little sick right now just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Pretty good though.
This little bit of spaghetti skin.
Yeah, just like that cooked up and just turned into a little pigtail.
Oh well, they reckon we like pork.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. What was it they call us? Long pig.
Wherever
there's cannabis.
What country was that again?
I think isn't it Papua New Guinea?
Yeah.
That would sound correct.
Somewhere where they eat people, yeah.
It's a Micronesian place where they eat people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also got tattoos, but they eat people.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like the Fijians back in the day.
Yeah.
I just got back from.
I think all the Polynesians.
Yeah,
they ate Captain Cook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fucking Hawaiians, they ate that motherfucker. He was the first Kahlua pork.
Yeah. Wonder if they did.
Fucking buried him underground. Imagine maybe they buried him underground. Maybe he was delicious. He was captain. He was probably eating more than everybody else. He's drinking lots of rum. They probably just fucking buried his ass and threw hot rocks on top of him and then uncovered him out of them banana leaves and just went to town with some poi.
Yeah.
And they weren't massive and take over a fucking heap of islands for no reason. Maybe that was some good protein in those white boys.
They're like, well, there's no big animals there. You know what I mean?
So they ate them all.
Yep.
They're like, I hope they didn't eat his brain.
What's that bird in New Zealand that all the Maoris ate to start with? The moa. It was like a fucking 12-foot. No, was it 12 foot? Or was it even bigger?
That monster, gigantic dinosaur thing.
Yeah, that dinosaur bird thing. It was like, it was fucking massive. Anyway,
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy that we would look at something like that as little tribes people with arrows and be like, let's go kill that monster. Nobody really goes out to kill a monster anymore to eat it. You more kill kind of pretty innocent things like deer and stuff like that. At Javelina, we have really nasty pigs. Yeah, like nobody's going to go hunt lions with a bow and arrow to eat the lion. They're just doing it to be a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So unless they're those dudes in India who kill tigers, they got 500,000 people a year get killed by tigers in India.
Yeah, it's pretty low. So
I just want to go there in a tiger-proof suit and watch that shit go down.
And just rampant.
Yeah.
Whatever ones are left of them.
Well, that's fair enough. Kill it if it's going to kill you.
Exactly right. Kill or be killed, that's a different situation.
Exactly.
But I kind of feel like the tigers have a right. I kind of feel like we fucked that up, kind of.
Yeah, well,
so we're like,
still
they're gonna do it.
Exactly right. If they're walking through the jungle, I've seen that video, that one of the most famous. It's tiger attack videos. They're just like cruising through the like fields on the back of an elephant. This tiger out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, and that thing is just. It reminds me of that Dolly painting.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly right.
That is absolutely wrong. That's like they're in the tiger's territory there. So.
The Dolly painting.
Yeah, you're fucking up.
Salvador Dali.
Oh yeah.
It has the most. It has the most.
Yeah.
It has the longest, most contrived name ever. It's like waking from a dream from a bee buzzing around a pomegranate. That's like the name of the painting or something like that.
And he said he didn't do drugs.
Oh,
no. Like I said last time, that motherfucker did something. He held his breath for a long time or something. He fucking did something. You don't own a sloth and have crazy dreams like that and not like, you know, or maybe he didn't do drugs and he just had an awesome pineal gland that wasn't calcified and was just dumping DMT into his brain every time he went to sleep, just monster amounts.
Or you can just tell anyone whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He could just be lying. He could be just like, I'm on acid now. No, I
don't that's a lot more fun in my mind.
Yeah,
right. They'll never know. Yeah, it's my little secret. Makes you feel like Batman.
Yeah, Batman with a suit under your skin.
Yeah. Yeah, but fucking, I don't know. I wish more people would take pictures of tigers. Like, that's the only thing that I regret is, like, I can't really take that kind of reference. I'm not David Attenborough. I can't get out there with Grandpa Dave. Grandpa Dave puts me to sleep a lot of times. I just listen to
Grandpa
David Attenborough. Yeah.
I've
just put on some David Attenborough.
Grandpa Dave.
I just want him to be my grandpa.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Everybody does.
He's the best.
Yeah.
I put on Bob Ross last night to help me get to sleep.
That's Uncle Bob, man.
Uncle Bob and Grandpa Dave.
Exactly. Two of the greatest influences of my life right there.
That's it.
You know? Nah, man. But, you know, like, I'd like to have more leopard, like, actual pictures of leopards. I don't want to, you know, have to rely on Google. And then it's for some reason, like, I'll go to a zoo and I'll go to try to take pictures, and then the lions and the tigers all look fucked up and sick looking, and I'm like,
depressed.
I was like this.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, he doesn't really like coming out. I was like, then why is he in the zoo? Get a more presentable fucking tiger if you're gonna keep him in a zoo.
One that likes to strut at stuff. So you walk up, you're like, look at that lion go. He's just like,
it's like I'm not like trying to do a Lion King sleeve because that's how they look. They look like Scar, all fucked up and skinny and just like I haven't ever fucked kind of feeling, and I'm like, I feel bad for them.
Man,
not like ostriches and shit.
Longer than the animals do in the end. Fucking the ones in the zoos will be the only ones left. So.
Yeah, but you can tell they hate it because they always fuck up people when they get out.
Yeah.
We shoot them before we really know. We should at least give them a minute.
I don't know. This lady got pulled into a thing by a polar bear. And like it just clamped down on her ass or something, or her leg, and it's just pulling her through the bars. And I can only imagine what that felt like. But in my mind, I was like, "You're stupid. You jumped over that thing. There's a fucking bear.
Polar bear.
You deserve to die."
Yep.
Probably a warm country. Polar bear's already pissed the fuck right off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Melting. She looks like an ice cream. I remember seeing one of a panda getting some like little Chinese lady or something like that and tearing her through in like one of those, craziest videos back in the night.
Man, it's scary when you see like the herbivores go crazy, like because like you don't think about it. You're always so safe, and you're like hippos are cute.
It actually just wants to smash you,
kill you.
It
wants to kill you. It's a fucking peaceful animal that hates you because you're a shitty human being.
How do you feel?
Shit.
Like how? Like could you imagine being a little kid and being attacked by like a bunny rabbit? How shitty of a person you would think you were.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of rabbits. Fuck those things.
I tried to have rabbits when I was a kid. They were vicious little fucks.
Like I had iguanas when I was younger, and I was totally cool with them being assholes. They're assholes, right? They whip you with their tail and shit, but they look like they're assholes.
I didn't know that. I thought it was such a chill little thing.
The females are pretty chill. The big males, they're fucking, like, some of them have a real bad temper, and they're vegetarians too, man. They eat like mashed up strawberries and shit. They're dope. They're super cool. But they get huge, and then the end of their tail is actually like all dead skin, so they fucking whap the shit out of stuff. Like the larger ones, like they'll break your skin like a bullwhip.
Yeah, crazy
little fuckers.
I can feel a thing.
Yeah. Well, I do have a snake that if I smell like my fucking puppy, it'll try fucking eat me. So
yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I totally have a different opinion of snakes. I have a very big soft spot for snakes. So like that was the one animal that I had the most when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm like all about like, oh well, it's my fault. I did something wrong. It's never his fault.
Yeah.
He didn't ever do something. He's a snake.
Yeah. That's all they want to do. They just want to eat and be warm.
It's such a weird thing that evolution made this tube of meat with a face. That's all it is. It's like dangerous sausages. That's what they are. They're just
dangerous sausages.
That sounds like a bad porno.
It does, doesn't it? That Sausage Party also sounded like a bad porno. It was fucking hilarious.
No, Sausage Party is one of the greatest things ever made by man.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I don't think I've actually watched that since it came out. I went to the movies. It was fucking awesome.
That's on my list. That if
No.
What'd you say?
I said that's the one that I wanna watch that while I'm tripping.
Oh, that'd be full on.
Because it's got music. It's got weird fucking things. It's interesting. That and Doctor Strange. I just want to see that and just put myself through that just once, just to take it to the limit.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna fuck you up like something fierce.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is so good.
Oh man, you know.
I like to watch Harry Potter on Mushies.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Oh, dude, that sounds great. I've never done that, but I love them movies.
We watched like all of them all the way to the end.
It was one of the last ones.
Yeah, we didn't really realize the last one was gonna be like pretty evil.
Really, really, really scary.
Yeah.
We
were talking about like eating or drinking potions and cooking up fucking all kinds of shit, and then I made up a big mushroom tea, and it didn't take long to kick in.
Yeah, man.
Harry Potter got very full on very quickly.
Yeah, you guys felt like you were magicians, huh?
The whole night. Couldn't stop thinking about being a wizard, man.
Yeah, that's why.
Every time I was like, this is like cooking up a potion, like a beaker. Science.
Oh man, there's a Harry.
Let's have more tea. We're like, oh, we're potions now.
There's a Harry Potter themed convention here in the States.
Really?
Yeah, it's called the Literary Art Show, and it's all dedicated to fucking people and all about Harry Potter and tattoos and shit like that. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I made the similar mistake watching Planet Earth. And taking a bunch of mushrooms, and then I forgot about because it's so awesome because it starts off on the forest floor and it's all the mold and all the fungus growing and it's all time lapsed, and then they go deeper into the rainforest and you realize that there's this whole chimp war and they eat a fucking baby chimp and you forget about that because you're on mushrooms, and then that shit shows up and you're like, I gotta find the fucking remote. Yeah. I'm fucking coming down, man. Fuck this.
Literally, we got to that point where he just like bailed out of that castle. And they'd all just like, what was it? Something they were flying on, and they just like all land in the river. And we just think like, what has he done? Like, oh no, we just start freaking the fuck out. Like, no,
the next part I remember was where he was touching shit and everything was multiplying.
Everything was multiplying. That was it.
My fucking head in there.
And then it was when they left that, but that kept trying to. The cuts kept going.
Yeah, that was it.
Massive.
I tried to watch Pineapple Express like halfway through it on acid. My mate turned it on, and it must have just been on TV or some shit. And it started in that scene where they're in the woods and he throws his phone away. And I was like I was tripping pretty hard on acid, and it did my fucking head in as well. I was like, I can't watch this, bro. He's like, this is like the worst part. And I'm like, oh man. No, I'm not a fan of watching shit when I'm tripping. I like to do my own thing. I like being in nature and doing all that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I've made environments for tripping, like not watching movies. Like there's
colors and all kinds of shit.
There's this thing called Electric Sheep, and it's a fractal generator, and people make these crazy videos, and it's just all of these fractals changing, and you know, it's all high definition. You find videos on YouTube, so I'd put that shit on with no sound, and then play my own music and play some crazy fucking like bass nectar or some fucking crazy dubstep, and just go off into fucking mushy land, feel the room breathing in, and then I'd look into there'd be like spiders' legs crawling in and out of these fucking things and freak out a little bit, and then it'd be something pretty. And it'd just ride those waves. But yeah, that I like going outdoors, especially like I'm more on mushrooms. Acid, I like staying inside and rolling around on the floor and laughing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, mushies for sure.
Yeah. But,
and it just depends. But like, I don't know, mushrooms are a more harsh teacher. If they want to teach you a lesson, it's going to be a rougher ride.
Yeah, sure. I just sit there trying to work everything out. Why does that work? Why does that work? I just sit there trying to work out everything.
You've got so much shit sussed, and then by the next morning, you're like,
what the fuck was I talking about?
Oh yeah.
What was it there?
I remember filming myself. She's like, "Oh, look how it looks." You know, I was like, "This is gonna be so funny when we wake up." We'll wake up and it's just like perfectly normal. It's just like,
couldn't thought you were filming what you were tripping.
I thought I was filming what I was tripping.
Yeah. It's just like everything's completely normal. Yeah, it's funny, man, because like I've tried to make artwork. And I think I'm doing super dope shit. And then I wake up in the morning or in the afternoon, more than likely, and I look at it and it's just squiggles on a page because I get lost in the little squiggles. And you just keep.
It is so hard to draw on mushrooms.
Oh yeah,
just fucking doing squiggles, man. Legit.
Yeah.
Cannot draw.
And you think it's the dopest shit too, because you're just like, oh man, look at this shit. You're just like, yeah. Then you wake up in the morning, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Am I 7? Making squiggles?
This made sense last night.
Yeah, it's because it was moving, because you're hallucinating, asshole.
It's breathing.
I was like, damn it.
It's breathing.
God damn it.
I've just
or like
scriggling pencils for other people's amusement while they were tripping. Just they were like eyes down on the fucking table, staring at it like this while I was fucking drawing in front of them.
That's why I want that. Have you guys seen that sand art table where it uses ball bearings and magnets and it just like draws on the sand? Yeah. Oh, dude, it's a fucking. I was like, I just want that, and I just want to either.
It's just like full of sand, and then it's got magnets underneath it, and then a ball bearing sits in the sand, and the magnet underneath it like pulls it in like geometric shapes, or just like shapes, so you can program it. Yeah.
I just want to sit there and just be like, and just fall into that shit for a little while, especially on a DMT hit. Just take a massive blast and just stare at that thing for as long as I can before I gotta close my eyes.
Yeah. I think it was one of the only like decent sponsored ads I think I've had put up on my Instagram. It was like a massive like handmade fucking $10,000 one. Just all kinds of crazy contraptions. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm too Jewish for that. I'll just make one. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, just tattoo someone for.
I don't know. It was like, let me see how do you move magnets? And I was like, okay, this is how we're gonna move some magnets, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's under that table, but I would assume that it's you know, some science.
It's science. It's definitely
some kind of science.
Magic.
What are you guys munching on over there? You guys doing fucking edibles?
No, yeah, they're somewhere.
Oh, Skittles. Fucking Skittles.
Little treats.
Legal edibles.
Yeah. Yeah. I sold acid one time, and I had a bunch of Skittles in my pocket, the raspberry, the tropical fruit ones. And then I had a bunch of sweet tarts that were dosed out, wrapped in tinfoil. And then, through the night, I mixed up my pockets where my Skittles were and where my acid was. And so I would pull my hands out of my pocket, and people would buy like a couple hits, and I'd find a couple tinfoils, and I'd give them some Skittles, and they're like, what's that? I was like, those are just some Skittles, man. My pockets are all mixed up. And then I'd throw Skittles in my mouth, and every once in a while I'd catch a fucking aluminum foil on my teeth and be like, oh, that's another hit. It was pretty rough. I did like 4 hits of acid on accident. But like after the first one kicked in, it was kind of like, oh, And then that was long. That was a long night though.
Did you keep doing it like that, or did you change tactic?
No, after I hit the fourth one and I got really upset at myself, I gave them all to my brother, and I was like, "Dog, you got to take care of these things." He was already tripping too. He would have been far into it, but I was like, "Dog, I can't do this," and so I just gave him all like a handful of Skittles with some mixed in tinfoil covered Smartie or Sweet Tarts. Being young and going to parties.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it. I mean, living close to Mexico was definitely a maturing experience. Like being able to look at Mexico every day and just be like, oh, it's right there. And then going over there at like 14, drink and drown, hanging out with hookers. It was crazy.
You grew up in El Paso, like literally just there.
Yeah. So we had this place called the Tequila Derby where you would pay $10 and it was called Drink and Drown. You wouldn't pay for alcohol. You could tip the bartenders, but you would just order, and they would, and we were 14, 15 years old going Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because Thursday was college night. Friday was you were out of school, and Saturday you were like fucking party on. Sunday it was closed down because it was Catholic, super Catholic. But you could go to the pharmacy and buy whatever fucking drugs you wanted. I had a bunch of friends in high school on the football team taking all kinds of Mexican supplements and shit.
Not a bad way to grow up. For sure.
It was. I didn't party as much as I thought. I think I would have partied a lot harder in my 20s if I didn't, have so much experience with throwing up in strange places when I was younger.
Yeah, I did it pretty early too. Good way to get it out of your system.
Well, you're young enough that you can bounce back from it and not kill yourself.
Too many times over anyway.
It's not worth it.
You can definitely see why Texas has the gun laws it does, being so close to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, gun laws is a thing. I think it's funny that you mentioned that because it's like I like all the time. It's all the time. It's with me.
Yeah, we got these
You got those. Well, I get that.
That's all.
I get, but it happened such a long time ago. That was a long time ago that massacre happened, huh? Yeah. It was like 1908 or 1912 or something real early, right?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, early 90s. Oh, shit. Okay. I heard wrong. Yeah. You're not ready. I guess not. I get it.
Not ready. No, it hasn't been 100 years yet. They weren't giving back yet.
No.
That's shitty. I think that.
No, we don't need them. There's enough fucking crazy motherfuckers here. If you give them guns, then I'll have to. Yeah. And then I'll end up shooting one.
I want to shoot that gun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. You're all fucking convicts. We know.
Exactly. Don't give us guns.
It's like
there's enough going around.
Cigarette?
It makes sense. What?
Cigarette?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Do it. Aren't we back with the Skittles? Skittles.
Back with the Skittles.
Back with the Skittles. Back with the Bilson.
Yeah. Well, Benny, I got to say thanks, man. I appreciate you coming in and dropping in dropping some knowledge on us.
No worries at all, man. Thanks for having me. It was nice to meet you officially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good to get some more faces on here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different minds on the tattoo mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's what we want, and it's easy. This just softens me up to wanting to do this more and more. We're just having people just drop in because it's easy. We just bullshit, and there's a level of honesty that goes into this that I think is real important that I think everybody appreciates.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
just kick back, chill, and just sort of
that unscripted shit that just exactly right.
Just happens.
Yeah, it's overproduced. It's not real.
Yeah, so much easier when you have Mary Jane to help you cruise along. Huh?
She greases the wheels a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
But last week I had a few beers and whatever to help that one. The drunk machine history, that was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good because I had been up for 24 hours and then you had 3 drinks and it was just silliness. It was good.
It was probably a few more than 3 in the end. But 3 so I could drive, yeah?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to get Cherub on last week because he was in fine form.
Yeah,
I'll get him.
We'll get him on.
We'll get that Jared here soon.
I'll be down to do another one, man.
Yeah.
I'd be mad with a group of us.
We'll do another one in the shop because there's heaps more room.
Yeah, I think one in the shop would be really cool.
Yeah.
We'll be able to set it up nice.
I like the setting of the shop better than this black wall too.
It's a little bit more to look at. What I need to do is I need to figure out what's the best time for me to come to Australia.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna happen very soon. There's plenty of conventions happening. We'll bring you over.
I don't even care if there's a convention. Like, I'll work. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. I just want.
Well, he's thinking pretty soon. He's
pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't got nothing to do.
We got heaps of room at the shop. Like we're full, but everyone's not tattooing at the same time.
Exactly.
All the time. Yeah. There's always a spot available in the shop somewhere. So
my room's nice. Yeah. Don't worry, we got room.
Yeah. Exactly.
round robin. I don't care. It's starting to be nice weather where you guys are at, right? Because you guys are gonna get out of the winter soon.
Yeah, well,
slowly.
Out of the winter.
We're getting a little tease a day every week or two, but
man, it stays cold for a while. It's fucking spring to get through, and spring's like when it starts to warm up. In like September, October, and start to get more nicer and nicer days.
In February, it's balls out summer.
Yeah, it's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Thanks for star. You used to that shit.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to compare the hotness.
The hotness. It was different heat, man. It was fucking like wet heat when we were in Dallas. That fucked me up.
Yeah, that's not how it is here. Here it's dry. We're higher altitude. There's not as much water.
You probably
dry heat.
Dallas then. But we'll go all around Australia. We'll go see some heats that I've never even seen before.
Yeah, we'll go up north. We'll go Northern Territory.
I'm still living down there. We're going to be Kimberley's, huh?
Definitely.
Oh, I'm so down. We'll
lifetime, man.
Territory. Yeah.
We'll have to record podcasts that aren't uploaded right away, and we'll just have to do them there. And then once we get back into town, it'll be like just sitting in the bush doing a podcast.
Sick one. Add little clips of shit happening.
Yeah. We can definitely.
Because if we do it at night and we just point the cameras up towards the stars and it's just us talking, because you'll be able to see fucking the satellites and all the shit going over the top.
Bro. I got heaps more edits to do this stuff. The joys of having 2 horse dogs.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you have dogs that big. I've got an American English Bulldog mix, and she's just built like a brick shit house, and I can barely deal with her, and she's not that big.
Make it easier at a point. One of them's easy. Yeah. She's like 1, but fuck, one's only a puppy, and she has no idea how big.
Yeah.
But I can't. They're good fun.
They do become easier.
Yeah.
I had a big dog for years.
Yeah, bad.
Back in Perth. He was like 13 years old. Big husky cross Rottweiler.
Wow, that's a long time to have a dog that big.
Yeah, man.
That's
he lived a good long life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally was a bear. He was huge.
He was a great dog. So they do definitely become easier.
I mean, what an amazing thing like dogs are in general. Like if dogs were dicks, we would have got rid of them, right? Like would have got rid of them a long time ago. But there's just something about dogs. They have eyebrows, I think, is what it is.
Yeah,
they can give you emotion.
A report earlier before we started the podcast that they reckon now that we've not domesticated, but dogs have been around for like 40,000 years or some shit like that. It's fucking pretty ridiculous.
Like not wolves, but canines that are dogs.
Yeah, they reckon they can predate it like heaps now. And it's not fucking just like stealing wolves to like go hunt mammoths, but they've been doing shit with dogs for long fucking time.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy that like a fucking Shih Tzu it's like the same. It came from a wolf. It just came from a wolf, like a Chihuahua and all those things. They're just all wolves.
Did you see the Chihuahua on the story at the ping pong party?
Unreal,
man.
Yeah, what a boss that little fucking Chihuahua is. He got a little shirt on, doing dances.
Oh, the other night.
Yeah. What is it? Ivy.
Dobby.
Dobby.
Yeah,
Dobby the house elf. That's exactly what that motherfucker reminds me of.
Spot on, man.
Mill losing his shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was fun. And Tim, did you see Tim try and kick the fucking roof?
Yes. Oh my God. You guys, it reminded me of trying to kick that punching bag and missing it and kicking the side of that fucking machine, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah. We need to get one of those punching bag things for work.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked. Oh, you do.
Yourself in the forehead.
It's crazy. You would make so much money off the guys, just them dicking around trying to punch that thing.
You pull the thing down,
sure,
smash them. Yeah. We did one of them in the States. It's so good. Yeah.
We saw that. Saw fucking some crazy drama that ended up not being anything. It was exciting for a little while.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened.
Yeah. Deep Elm Street.
Yeah. It's crazy down there.
Yeah.
That's where I ended up going that night. That I stayed up all night. Down there.
You went down there and got drunk first.
Yeah, I did. I actually got a little drunk and then ate some delicious chicken.
That's the worst part. Sobering up, not going to sleep. That's the worst shit.
Yeah, you know what? I have no problem staying up this late and going to bed and waking up. But like when I gotta stay up and I know I'm only gonna get a couple hours, it's miserable even before I go to sleep because I know I'm just like, you're just shitting on yourself right now.
It's always those you know you're gonna get fuck all sleep that you can't sleep as well.
Yeah.
So you get even less sleep.
And then you've got a huge fucking tattoo.
Fucking your head so much.
Oh yeah. Yep. But I won't let my inner bitch rule me. So fuck that. That little inner bitch who's like, come on, just stay in bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're like,
yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, man. Handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good shit though.
One more dab. I reckon.
Dab skill.
We gotta dab it out. And yeah. There you go, everybody. The Tattooed Mind number 6. Shout outs to BENY. Shout outs to my boy Jason for winning Best of Show at the LA convention. I'm super proud of you. And all that stuff.
All that jazz.
Beautiful.
All that jazz. Oh, hey, when do you get that little bracelet power supply thing in? We do a review on that bitch.
No, I couldn't order it. I tried on my thing and it wouldn't work, so I emailed them. There should be one coming very soon.
That looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Can you try that?
Wait. So you got it in and it wouldn't work with the injector?
No. I couldn't order it.
Oh, you couldn't order it?
No. The order didn't go through. It bounced on my PayPal for some reason.
Maybe because it's Australia? Maybe they're not sending it down. I don't know. That doesn't make no sense, though.
Wants me to make it a business account.
Oh, it's not a business account?
No.
Yeah, they'll fuck with you a little bit, especially if you're putting a lot of money through it too.
What business account?
No.
Oh, the watches. No, I don't think so. I'm still debating where they came from. I thought they were a New Zealand product, so I haven't seen one yet.
I saw a video of some cunt the other day. He was just walking around.
Really?
Not tattooing, but just
just walking
around with it going.
Yeah, it looks sick.
With that fucking thing on?
Yeah, with the wrist. Just walking past that tattoo and like.
You know, you can plug your fucking phone into it and charge your phone.
Yeah, it's basically just like 6 lithium batteries, just cells.
Yeah, and then you control it with your phone, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, no. It's all like touch. So
it's all on there. You just voltage up and voltage down.
Yeah, it's got like presets at like 5, 7, 9, 11, all that sort of shit. And then I think it's got like a couple of seconds, like hold on for a second to turn it on and off. And then there's obviously like tap for different voltage, all that sort of shit. So
you just throw a piece of barrier film over that?
Yeah, I guess that's all. I'm going to give it a crack. I won't be fucking with volts very much, so it'll just be to turn the thing on and off.
Yeah,
I'm even rock that. I might just like keep the thing on the whole time and just like unplug and plug as I want to turn it on. Because I mean, if you're gonna turn it off and walk away, you're gonna have to unplug the motherfucker anyway. Yeah, your machine. Yeah, because you can't just like fucking walk. I don't turn my power supply off. I just unplug it. Yeah, well, now I've got the Atom though. I've been turning it off because it's a lot easier to just put one barrier film on it. Yeah, it's nice. Actually, I watched the guy put it inside a heavy duty bag and actually use it as a foot pedal on the floor. Yeah, we've thought of that as well, but it's too nice. It seems gross. Yeah, it seems gross, right? It's disgusting. Yeah. I just hooked up a foot switch. It's got that momentary on and momentary off. It's nice. Yeah, but you've got a foot switch on yours. Yeah, I just plugged it in. I just plugged in a foot switch to it, and then I just tap the foot switch, and it'll turn the machine on, and then I tap it again, so I don't have to keep my foot on the foot switch. I bowed on foot switches years ago. I still rock that. Put my hips out. Fuck that shit. Well, that's why, yeah, I can't do the keeping my foot down on the fucking foot switch just thing. Tap on, tap off for sure. Yeah, tap on, tap off. Yeah. Yeah, it just makes more sense. That, maybe that's what we should do next week. We can go into our daily grind gear, like what we use. Every day, you can talk about the needles and shit like that you're using and all of that shit. I think that'd be a good one. Since you said barrier film, I fucking want black everything. We've been talking about black barrier film.
Yeah.
I want
At least so it's like tint, right? Like so it's tinted like dark gray, so you can see through it or something.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd settle for that. I've seen clear, but that's
like
not
smoky.
Exactly, that's not very nice.
Yeah.
Black everything.
Smoky.
Yeah. I got some gothed out poly towels. I got some black ass poly towels right now.
Yeah, we got all the shit now. That's why I just need that black tape to go with it. These little blue barrier film just doesn't look right with it now.
Yeah, you know the only thing that you can't go black is fucking ink caps. I tried that. I got my hold of black ink caps, and you can't tell what the fuck's going on after a little while when you're doing black and gray, and you're like, "Fuck."
Have you used those Hive ones much?
So you black mask.
Oh, dude, I've got
those Hive.
Fucking.
Oh, look at that!
All the cool colors and shit like that. Yeah, I love those fucking things, man. The dude Travis who makes those things, like they're just convenient. Like they snap together. There's 2 different sizes on each side, so you have a small cap on one side and you have a large cap on the other, and then they all clip together, so you don't have to use any schmutz to fucking keep that shit stuck down to your paper. They're all stable on their own.
Blue ones, are there bigger ones than the blue ones?
Yeah. There's a full size. So like if you like a large cap, there's full size ones. And what's nice is up to a 27 mag will fit in these things comfortably.
Yeah.
Because if you hit the bottom of one, but do they all go spraying everywhere?
You know what, man? Like honestly, I haven't really knocked into one really hard. I've hit a rim every once in a while, and it just doesn't really do very much. It's not because they're not that flexible plastic. They're not that real thin plastic that the
thin plastic ones, the ones you cut out, and they were like
they're like tight. Those are almost tight like a fucking drum head. Yeah. So when you hit them, they all fucking just bam, and it just shoots everything. Like I remember fucking Marcus talking about that shit, and he's like, "This is fucking stupid. Why are you guys gonna use this?" And he does an example of it. Yeah,
with all the fucking like color exploding out of the boot.
Yeah, just. I when I saw that, I was like, "Hey, that's kind of fucking cool." He's just like, maybe you should make some paintings like that.
A couple of times and hit the bottom, just because like you look at it, and because it's like that half shit, you're kind of expecting you can go down to the bottom, so it'll take a little bit.
They make fully deep ones though that are that same size, but instead of going halfway, it just fills up the whole thing. So you can get those. Yeah. And what's nice is they got measuring lines in there. So and the measuring lines are set at 3/4 and half. So it's perfect for just doing those 2 beginning washes. So yeah. I mean, I like them. They're cool for keeping everything kind of organized, not having to set up a bunch of caps. I still keep a bunch of single caps because if I'm just going to use black or if I'm just going to do, a couple colors and I don't want to break those out, I'll do that. But they're neat, something new. I like them. There's another company, Hextat, that makes these trays, which are really nice, that hold cartridges and have rinse cups built in. And they have ink caps built in. I like just the cartridge stand with the rinse cup built into it. If they could just make that, it'd be the tits, because I don't really like the ink caps. Like they're too big for if you're just going to use a little bit of ink in there to where you get so close to the bottom that you're going to probably hit it. And it's that same kind of molded plastic that's real thin. So if you do hit one, the fucking ink goes everywhere.
A while ago, but they're just that too thin shit.
Yeah. All that shit aside, what I want is a fucking tattoo bed that folds down into the size of a fucking roll around luggage thing that has space for me to put tattoo supplies into. And I'm working on that design right now, and I want to fucking, somebody else, if you're going to put in the time and do it so I can buy one. I don't care. I just want one.
You need to make it into the actual bag itself.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like a clamshell luggage, the hard shell luggage, where it would just open up. There's a bed in there, and then you can lift up each side, and then there's compartments underneath. Yeah. Somebody make it, please, who has more time.
It seems like easy enough.
You just need a steel frame.
Yeah.
Aluminum. You just make it out of aluminum so it's light. You don't get hit with baggage charges.
Yeah, for sure. It'd still be worth it if you could put shit in there, large extra luggage.
Yeah. But it could be done because I took measurements on the big roll around luggage that I have right now, and I was like, man, this is enough space to where if you did like a little kick out for the feet, like the tatsole bed is, the little portable tatsole bed, it's like you could definitely have somebody lay down on this and still have room for at least some of your supplies in there.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that's built for tattooers that's made like that. So you guys know people. You can cut this out at the end. so nobody hears us talking about this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Tell Byron we need to inject a bed.
Yeah, it'll happen. Someone will make it. Put it out in the universe. That's just how it happens.
Yeah.
Nah. I just, you don't even have to give me credit. Just give me one of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't have to name it after me, but you can give me.
Just give me one. I'll sell them for you. I don't care.
Yeah.
Man.
But good shit, man. Well, this is good. This is a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it was. You got your timer going?
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes 28 since we like very first started. So a couple of breaks in there or whatever. It's good.
Cool.
Very good.
Well, well done. Well done.
Yeah,
Benny, thank you so much again, man. That was cool. It was nice to get some insight. It's just nice to meet you.
Thank you, bro.
Easy.